Hello there, coming to you from the attic. I'll get used to saying that. This is a special report for JW Watch, the show that keeps a close eye on all things JW, offering Jehovah's Witnesses a more objective viewpoint on current developments that the governing body almost certainly doesn't want them to hear. As was announced on jw.org near the beginning of this month, Jehovah's Witnesses are returning to the door-to-door preaching work as of September 1st. And an announcement memo leaked to JW Watch by an insider gives further details on this development, shedding more light on the organisation's shedding of social distancing measures of which it was so proud earlier in the COVID pandemic. So, this announcement document, actually it's two for the price of one. I have two documents to share. One about this return to the doorsteps, as I've titled this video, and another one about HLC elders related to COVID. So it's not completely unrelated to the subject of the video. Nice to see 165 or so watching across YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Couldn't remember all the platforms for a moment. So yeah, lovely to see so many of you in the live chat, and so far no one complaining about audio issues or anything of the sort. So that's fantastic. Hello from England, says G Bunting. Hello, G Bunting. We have New Jersey represented. Hello, DJ. Let's see, we have another New Jersey person in who's also a member of the Resistance. Welcome. Yeah, lots of people tuning in. Minneapolis represented as well by Sarah Weather. So thanks all of you for tuning in. Without further ado, let's not roll the first clip. Let's instead look at this document. So let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Maybe that will make it a little bit more legible. So yes, you can see that the announcement is dated August 9th, 2022. 4 congregations resuming in-person house-to-house ministry. We are delighted to share the following news with you. On August 3rd, 2022, the governing body informed all branch committees that they may resume the in-person house-to-house ministry beginning September 1st. After considering the local situation in our branch territory, we are pleased to provide the following direction that will be of assistance to you as you carry out your personal ministry. And the following direction is literally just 4 sentences, one of which is a scripture. All should use good judgment when deciding whether to wear a mask when witnessing in person. When you approach people in the ministry, we know you will continue to show due respect and consideration for their feelings and circumstances. This made me chuckle a little bit, because if they were really showing full respect for people's feelings and circumstances, they wouldn't be bothering people on a Saturday morning. They wouldn't be standing on people's doorsteps on their private property and suggesting that they join a different religion or adopt different theological ideas. So the whole concept, surely, of door-to-door preaching flies in the face of people's personal feelings. It's never been about that, has it? The warning work cares not for people's personal feelings. It's apparently a life or death matter. And then it says this would include maintaining a discreet distance. So when Jehovah's Witnesses start knocking on your doors as of September 1st, you will note that they may be wearing masks and they may be maintaining a discreet distance. Goodness knows what that distance will be. I'm imagining them kind of stood at the end of people's driveways in some situations and just kind of gesticulating, trying to get people's attention. This is in harmony with Jesus' words found at Matthew 7, verse 12. All things, therefore, that you want men to do to you, you also must do to them. Well, again, would Jehovah's Witnesses appreciate people of other religious denominations calling at their homes at the weekend or at any other time? Would they appreciate apostates calling at their homes? I think famously Stephen Lett made a comment, I think was at a recent convention, where he said, what would you do if an apostate called at your house and said, I've got something I want to show you? He said, you would run a mile. So that's how Jehovah's Witnesses would apparently react to someone like me calling at their house. And yet, granted, they're not going to call at my house, are they? But they have no problem bothering people in that way. And then there's, as you can see there, a paragraph, mask wearing at congregation meetings. For the time being, we strongly encourage all to continue to wear a mask at congregation meetings. So you can see there, it's 3 paragraphs of material to be announced to the congregation. And I must just thank Cody B. Hello, Lloyd. Hello, Cody. Thank you for your super chat. All super chats, all help of any kind is very much appreciated at the moment, with our overheads and with paying Tibor and with covering all our future plans, of which there are many. So thank you very much, Cody. That's the announcement for the congregation. And again, it's 3 paragraphs, but there's a full page, if we scroll up, for elders. So this is the behind the scenes stuff that is too privileged for Jehovah's Witnesses to see. This is eyes only material. Why don't we read it? So for elders, resuming in-person house-to-house ministry, we are confident that you will follow the direction from the branch office while being careful not to add unnecessary rules. We are confident that you will follow the direction means follow the direction, guys, or else, really. Since each publisher's circumstances vary, I'm going to highlight this separately. Since each publisher's circumstances vary, no one should feel pressured to participate in any specific method of preaching. Now, this is a useful bit of text for anyone watching who is PIMO, in other words, physically in, mentally out. If you are one of the many Jehovah's Witnesses who's woken up and is in the unfortunate situation of having to carry on a pretense of believing while secretly not believing, I think this is actually quite useful, although you'll have to kind of keep your cards quite close to your chest when it comes to not letting on how you know about this. But this is clearly saying that whereas Jehovah's Witnesses are being quite clearly pressured to start attending in-person meetings again, there's a little bit more leeway when it comes to what type of preaching they do. So you shouldn't be pressured, if you're a PIMO, into going house to house. So if you have any grief from elders saying, why aren't you back on the doorsteps? We noticed you haven't been joining the congregation in door-to-door preaching work. What I would say is something along the lines of, with all due respect, brother, and I appreciate you attending to my spiritual needs, with all due respect, is it really proper for me to be put under pressure to engage in a specific method of preaching? Is it proper for that to be the case? I would say that. And because it could be that the elder just is, just doing his own thing, as is often the case, asserting his authority, and not really thinking about the nuances of the various guidelines. But I think this is at least something that will help PIMOs, that again, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to look at. They're not allowed to know about this. But it's a provision that's been given to elders that you shouldn't be pressured to do a particular or a specific method of preaching, meaning that it should be down to you whether you do door-to-door, cart witnessing, or letter writing. According to this, you can just stay at home and write letters because it's a form of preaching. I mean, good luck trying to get them to stick to this, but that's what I take away from that particular paragraph. And let me just check on, oh, wow. Thank you so much to The Resistance for your incredibly generous super chat. That is a huge help to the channel at this time. Thank you very much indeed. And from a fellow Star Wars fan, no less. So thank you so much for your support of the channel. I think I can speak for myself, Tibor, and Diana in really appreciating and giving you my appreciation for that super chat. So thank you very much. Returning to this announcement, you'll see a paragraph on elders meetings. Effective September 1st, 2022, barring any governmental restrictions, elders meetings should be held in person as was done prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. There will be no provision for a remote tie-in. Elders who are unable to attend in person may be consulted prior to elders meetings and should be updated on the body's decisions afterward. In addition to helping to preserve confidentiality, holding elders meetings in person promotes good communication and contributes to a spirit of love and unity. I found that part about confidentiality interesting because it sort of acknowledges that any kind of meeting held over Zoom is not going to be as secure or as it's not going to have the same guarantees of privacy and confidentiality as when you have a physical meeting and you can physically make sure that no one is entering the building or entering the room apart from those who are supposed to. So that was an interesting paragraph. You then have a section for coordinators of the bodies of elders. In the good old days, those used to be called the presiding overseer. They're now called coordinators of the bodies of elders, or COBIES. Announcement for congregations. Please ensure that the announcement for congregations is read at the conclusion of the next 2 congregation meetings. Once the announcement has been read to the congregation, it should be posted on the information board for at least 1 month. So as with the in-person meetings announcement, this needs to go out for 2 consecutive meetings. And then there's a paragraph on in-person meetings. So it wasn't just an announcement, a long announcement that needed to be read out at 2 meetings. Check this out. Please assign an elder to present a 10-minute review of the July 29th, 2022 announcement for congregations in place of the 5-minute local needs part the week of August 22nd. The brother should read the cited scriptures as time allows and offer sincere commendation where appropriate. That sounds weird, doesn't it? You should offer sincere commendation. It's not really sincere if you're being ordered to give it. The part should include a 2-minute interview of an exemplary publisher who attends meetings in person. Imagine getting that gig. Imagine being on the stage as a publisher and being kind of interviewed as someone who's exemplary just for physically getting to meetings. The publisher should be asked to relate heartfelt comments on, one, the benefits he experiences. So it's a he, apparently. It grates on me the way they just automatically assume gender. The benefits he experiences from attending meetings in person, and two, the specific efforts he puts forth to do so. I cross a crocodile-infested river twice a week to get to my meetings, and here are the scars to prove the timing of the congregation Bible study should be reduced by 5 minutes. We're going to reduce the amount of spiritual food because this is so important. We really need to remind people of what they should be doing and how they should be getting to an actual location twice a week. If your congregation has a circuit assembly the week of August 22nd, the review of the July 29th announcement should be scheduled for the week of August 29th. The part, do you look for the answers to your prayers, and the congregation Bible study should each be reduced by 5 minutes. This is important stuff, folks. Make sure it gets dealt with. For congregation service committees, meetings for field service. When determining the locations and times for in-person meetings for field service, you may include an option for elderly and infirm publishers to tie into the meetings remotely. So that's interesting. Slightly different if you are elderly or infirm. Depending on the circumstances, it may be practical to hold one or more meetings for field service by means of video conference only. So I'm guessing, well, it has to be, doesn't it? A video conference meeting in some cases for field service and then going out on the streets. That's going to be interesting. Because then you'd have the logistics of making sure everyone convenes at the same neighbourhood, wouldn't you? And if they're all convening at the neighbourhood, why not just do a quick meeting for field service on the sidewalk? I don't know. Regarding the use of private homes for in-person meetings for field service, all in the home should be comfortable using their home in this way, and no one should feel pressured to do so. This brings back memories of meetings for field service in someone's home, indeed in my home or the home in which I was living. So that is the announcement. Oh, wow, there's more super chats. Oh, wow, I need to acknowledge these because these are incredibly generous. Thank you so much. So we have Catherine Luna Mera Boyce. Hello, Catherine. You have been a big example for me when I got out. Watching your channel helped me have critical thinking, becoming now atheist, and to always doubt. Wow, well, thank you so much, Catherine, and I'm really glad that the channel was helpful for you. And, you know, I obviously never insist on whether people stay Christian or become atheist, but I think doubting and skepticism is a very useful habit to get into, especially in this day and age when false information is just being flung at people left, right, and centre. So, well done. We have Vio. Thanks, Vio, very much for your super chat. I appreciate you, Lloyd. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for backing the channel at this time. Freedom71 says, as always, thank you for your work. Thank you, Freedom71. I like the name as well. I'm always down for some freedom. Sound like a certain persuasion of American there, don't I? I love my freedom. Sharon Idle, thank you so much as well for your super chat. That's very kind indeed. Nice to see Arthur. Always nice to see Arthur in the live chat. Not just in good standing, but exemplary. Yeah, I should probably mention the difference between in good standing and exemplary, because they sort of sound the same, don't they, to an outsider? Oh, he's in good standing. Oh, she's exemplary. It sounds the same, doesn't it? But it's very different. In good standing simply means not under restrictions and not disfellowshipped. So you are in good standing so long as you basically haven't recently been through a judicial committee. That's in good standing. Exemplary means that you are doing everything that's expected of you as a Jehovah's Witness, including things for which you can't be disfellowshipped. So, for example, if you are, it's not a disfellowshipping offence to refuse to shun your close family members. So let's say you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're not shunning your disfellowshipped child. You wouldn't be disfellowshipped for that, but you would no longer be exemplary. So you couldn't be an elder or a ministerial servant, and you couldn't go to an international convention. Hopefully that's explained that for anyone who is interested. Many thanks indeed to Maddie Lenny. Thank you so much for your very kind and generous super chat. And we have DD. Pretty sure this letter will be obsolete in due time, as the call will come for everyone who's physically able to return to door to door. I'll tell you what, I think you're on the money there, because we saw it happen with the meetings, didn't we? We saw them say, look, no one should be put under any pressure. If they choose to attend the meeting over Zoom, that's their personal choice. And then, what was it, 2 or 3 months later, come back to that meeting. So you can bet that if there's like a loophole to exploit, Jehovah's Witnesses will exploit it. Mind you, they won't know about what I've read about the loophole because it's elders' eyes only. But if there's a loophole to exploit, it will be exploited. And you can bet, can't you, that at some point it will be a case of, why aren't more people doing door-to-door work? This is part and parcel of our ministry, always has been. Get your asses in gear sort of situation. So yes, I agree with you. And thank you for the super chat. And another super chat has come in from Kyla Angulo. Thank you, Lloyd. Keep up the great work, Abe and Kyla. Thank you so much, Abe and Kyla. And I'm assuming that is Abe and Kyla in the avatar. Lovely avatar, lovely picture, and thank you so much for the kind support. We have a super chat from Glitter Bloke. That's a brilliant name. Immediately conjures a visual in my head. You're a handsome guy. Well, thank you. I'm not really sure what to do with that information. I guess I will take it as a huge compliment. Goodness knows I don't get told that very much. So I'll grab it with both hands, Glitter Bloke. Narc Eliminator. There's another brilliant name. Says, thank you, Lloyd, for all that you do. Thank you, Narc Eliminator. And carry on eliminating, I guess. Thank you for your support of the channel. That's fantastic. Wow. I mean, I feel like at this point I'm... Okay, I have 2 super chats left, and then I'm going to go to the next document that I wanted to show you, which isn't about returning to door-to-door preaching. But, these very kind people are supporting the channel, so how can I not share their messages? Niklas Norling, I'm having to squint because for some reason my eyes are a little bit blurry. Put to good use, thanks for all. It will be put to good use. I'll tell you what, it will be put straight into Tibor's wages. That's where it's going to go, because what a good job he does. Thank you very much, Nicholas. And Manny Page Lee also sends a super sticker. Thank you very much, Manny Page Lee. And Catherine, I think this is a second super chat, if I'm not mistaken. My mum's still a JW, but decided to not shun me. If elders were to know about this, would she be reproved as she is a woman? She is afraid elders know. No, she wouldn't be reproved, in answer to your question. It relates to what I was saying earlier about being in good standing versus being exemplary or not exemplary. So your mother can talk to you despite you being disfellowshipped. It's just that there are any number of Watchtower articles and indeed videos telling her not to. So she's under a lot of pressure to shun you, as are all Jehovah's Witness parents with disfellowshipped children. But it's not a disfellowshipping offence. So it's not something they will throw people out of the organisation for. They're just not doing what they're told. So what happens is your mother becomes not exemplary, so that she couldn't attend an international convention and she couldn't be a pioneer. And this is actually something that really irritates me about, without wanting to get too personal. Well, I have to get personal, don't I? This is what irritates me about my dad, because my dad could be a Jehovah's Witness and speak to me and, dare I say it, know his grandchildren. But evidently he values being exemplary more than having any kind of relationship with either his son or his two grandchildren. So he continues to shun us. He could have, in other words, the best of both worlds. He could have his religion and have a relationship with his family, but being exemplary, being an elder, being able to go to international conventions is more important for him. So I hope that's clear. Maybe a few people don't know about this, but for those that don't, I hope this has been informative for you. Many thanks indeed to Austrian Wolf. Austrian Wolf is a patron and has, despite being a patron, still sent through a super chat. Thank you, Lloyd, for always providing us with good spiritual food. You see, now, Austrian Wolf, you are triggering me. And believe me, I am not easily triggered. But thank you so much. And I really mean this, not just for the super chat, but for being a patron of the channel and helping the channel in that way. And it's lovely to get to speak to you now and then on the Anglo-America Zoom calls. So lovely to see you in the live chat. And Frodo Baggins says, Dane here, never JW, but I went to school with and have worked with JWs. Both were very nice people, but I can't ignore the light you've shone on the organisation. Thanks for your work, Lloyd. Wow, that's an amazing message. And as I've said before, it's really heartwarming when people who've never been Jehovah's Witnesses, whose lives haven't been impacted in the way that people who are being shunned are having their lives impacted, they have this kind of emotional distance from all of that trauma and all of that abuse, and yet they still show solidarity and they still want to show support for resources that will help people either stay away from or get out of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Frodo Baggins. I'm assuming that's not your legal name. Okay, so what we'll do now, that's amazing. I'm frankly, I'm very taken aback by that avalanche of support for the channel. And it's very, to coin a Toni Morris word, sobering. But it really is sobering at this particular time. So thank you. Let's go back to not that announcement. Hang on a minute. not that announcement, but this announcement, which is dated a little more recently, 24 hours more recently to be precise. It's for hospital liaison committees. So you are not going to be able to see this announcement, even if you're an elder who isn't on a hospital liaison committee, or as I like to call them, angels of death, because that's what they do. They make sure that fellow worshippers martyr themselves if it comes to it. So, for hospital liaison committees, COVID-19 vaccination. Jehovah God created life and highly values it. Therefore, as his servants, we take reasonable steps to protect our life. No, you don't. You martyr people who try to take reasonable steps to protect their lives if that step involves taking blood. Oh, the language really irritates me. I'm sorry, viewers. Medical studies have shown that individuals who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 have lower incidences of severe or fatal infection. While the decision to be vaccinated is a personal one, we have decided that Hospital Liaison Committee, HLC, and Patient Visitation Group, PVG, members will need to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. This is for their safety as well as for the safety of the patients they assist. Therefore, HLC members who are not fully vaccinated or who have chosen not to be vaccinated despite the availability of COVID-19 vaccines should promptly inform the Hospital Information Department. Similarly, PVG members who are not fully vaccinated or who have chosen not to be vaccinated despite the availability of COVID-19 vaccines should promptly inform the PVG coordinator. In the future, when you meet to discuss recommendations of potential HLC or PVG members, please keep this requirement of COVID-19 vaccination in mind. You should inquire of a candidate regarding his COVID-19 vaccination status before giving his appointment thorough consideration. Please ensure that this announcement is sent to all PVG members under your oversight. I don't have too much to say on this. I actually think it's kind of responsible for them to not be sending elders into hospitals who aren't vaccinated. I just don't think they should be in hospitals to begin with, which I'm not sure that has too much to do with the letter in and of itself. They shouldn't be allowed into wards. They shouldn't, as in many cases is what happens. They shouldn't have the red carpet rolled out for them so that they can occupy a position of grim reaper next to people's bedsides and pressurize them or pressurize medical staff to essentially kill them by them being denied a blood transfusion. So they shouldn't be in hospitals to begin with. But if I'm being ultra generous and charitable, I don't really see a problem with that. I guess where people will have a problem is them continuing to talk about personal choice, as though these things are about personal choice, because manifestly they're not. And certainly the blood prohibition isn't a matter of personal choice, because you can and will be disassociated and shunned if you willingly and unrepentantly accept a blood transfusion per the Shepherd Book. So I suppose that's all I have to say really on that second announcement, but I did want to share it because it's related to COVID and it's perhaps something that viewers might want to see. Speaking of viewers, there are currently over 400 watching across Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, so welcome to all of you. Many thanks indeed to Monty L9 for your super chat. That's very kind indeed. Wrong document, Lloyd. LOL, says Trish. I missed the joke there. Hopefully I haven't shown the wrong document. Mig Montest says, it's a secret letter, so you may be kicked out of the liaison group for not being vaccinated and not knowing why. Yeah, it's not just not knowing why. I mean, you could know why you don't want to be vaccinated. I'm sure it would frankly be for a rubbish reason. But if you refuse to be vaccinated, you're going to get kicked out of the hospital liaison committee. And I can't say I shed too many tears at the thought of hospital liaison committee members getting kicked out, because I don't think the hospital liaison committee should exist to begin with. So the more elders it can hemorrhage, the better, as far as I'm concerned. What I'm going to do now is something I haven't done in a while. What's he going to do? Everyone's thinking. I'm going to take that banner off, and I'm going to put in place of it this banner. Let's do a viewer invasion. What's the worst that could happen? So yes, the rules for the viewer invasion are you need to, hang on a minute, I need to put an invite link in the chat. I will do that momentarily. Right, so there's an invite link being posted in the YouTube live chat. When you click on that link, it takes you through to StreamYard and makes it possible for me to select you to be shown on the live stream. All I ask, and I think this is reasonable, as you can see below, is that you show your camera and that you keep comments and questions respectful and on topic. So showing your camera is purely about deterring trolls, and because I've noticed that trolls typically don't like to be on camera. They prefer the shadows, don't they? And I think as well, keeping comments and questions respectful and on topic is fairly self-explanatory. It's a YouTube channel, it's a specific topic. People have tuned in to discuss that topic, and you don't get to just hijack someone's channel to talk about whatever you like. It's rude. So, yeah, if you want to join and share your thoughts on what we've read on the announcements, feel free to do so. In the meantime, I will be looking at some more comments. And John Robinson, thank you very much for your super chat, John. John says, hi, Lloyd. Yes, you posted the wrong document. Gosh. So what were you looking at then? Hang on, let me have a look. Did that not say August 10th? Oh, right, that's weird. I don't think... Okay, let me actually just... Because I read it, didn't I? I at least read it. So you know I'm not making it up. I will share the document very briefly, just in the interests of transparency. So, share screen. Yeah. Now can you see it? Yes, it says announcement August 10th, 2022. I apologize for not sharing the document. And thank you, John, and others for alerting me. So there's the announcement, just to prove to you that I wasn't making it up, that indeed you will be kicked off a hospital liaison committee as a hospital liaison committee member if you are not vaccinated and have no plans to get vaccinated. So there you go. Thank you very much again for bringing it to my attention that wasn't showing. And we have our first viewer invasion. Welcome to Crossroads Circle. Crossroads Circle, welcome back to the channel. How are you?
Pretty good. Long time no see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot's
been a minute.
happened.
Yeah, yeah. Little apostate baby's running around at like a year old now. She's like wreaking havoc around the house.
Don't they
Yeah,
always? Yeah.
yeah.
It's at least you're not like Stephen Lett saying, how dare they be playing?
Oh yeah. These children,
Play, play, and more play.
mine, mine. Yeah, he is the worst example of what you would want as a religious leader. Like, dude's almost identical to Marshall Applewhite.
Yeah.
Um, I have a theory that they must be related, or like they got to be twin flames or something like that.
Hey, I'm not arguing with you. Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
perfectly conceivable to me. Yeah.
for sure. So, I
What
mean,
did,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, what did you think of the announcement letters that we've gone through?
Um, I like the concept that they're trying to crack down on the COVID thing, and trying to get people vaccinated, but there's such a hypocrisy to that because they're literally like the hospital liaison committee, like they're the ones who are in charge of denying medical science,
Mm.
so
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very selective respect for medical science, isn't it?
exactly. And like, for me, it's just like the whole logic behind why they do that is based off of a verse that's talking about how you're supposed to sacrifice animals. So it's like, in Leviticus, when they're talking about that, they're talking about putting blood on an altar. So like, in theory, they're saying that these people who are dying are human sacrifices.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. And I was talking to my uncle about it before because he's an elder and his wife is sick, and I don't know the exact details of it, but I was talking about blood transfusion. I'm like, what do you think about that, uncle? And he's like, well, it's not clean and da 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 da. And I'm like, well, what verse are you looking at? And then they're looking at a verse where they're talking about how when you sacrifice an animal, like when the ancient Jews sacrifice animals, or like most ancient religions or old religions, they sacrifice the animal, you put the blood on the altar for the gods. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with humans. It has to do with animal sacrifice. And I was like, so if you guys are really so adamant that this is what you're supposed to do, then why don't you guys eat halal meat? Why don't you eat kosher meat? Because they practice everything that it says in the Bible. They practice that when they butcher halal and kosher meat, which is one of the main reasons why
Which is done in a very inhumane way. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's it's more humane than what they do in most Western like farms. You know what I mean? Like,
define humane. I mean, all abattoirs are inhumane, arguably.
well, yeah. I
know
mean,
what you mean.
eating, but like in America, like our chicken farms, like if you've ever seen footage of them, they're like they're running around in their own filth, and like they run them over with tractors and stuff. They just they kill them in CO2 chambers. And I mean, I think the compassion of saying like, oh, I'm gonna give it water and say a prayer and isolate it from other animals before I kill it is a little better than mass murdering animals in factory farms. But despite that, you know what I mean? Like the whole idea that the whole idea that it's because they don't want to eat meat with blood in it, when most Jehovah's Witnesses are eating conventionally farmed food, that the blood is not drained out when they farm it. It's in a factory farm, especially Americans. Jehovah's Witnesses eat McDonald's. They don't drain the blood in the cows in McDonald's like they do with with halal meat, for instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I was a teenager and I deconverted, I became a Muslim essentially because I was like, I want to be the best Christian I can. And I seen that they were practicing things like in Leviticus, like not eating pork. I know it's funny, like I'm not a Muslim anymore, but they were practicing these things that Jehovah's Witnesses would just gloss over. I realized it was the same thing, so I left. But still, it's like,
hey, I'm not judging. I just, it is. I would never laugh at it, but it's just interesting. I think sometimes when you're conditioned to be reliant on dogma, it kind of makes sense that you would just go from one set of dogma to another. But just going back to what you were saying, because we are deviating a little bit, and there's someone else, it seems, that wants to come on. When you were talking about the altar, I was reading the comments recently on the channel, and someone made the point that the altar had horns. So you weren't just supposed to pour blood onto the altar, you were supposed to put it on the horns of the altar. And the reason the altar had horns was as a nod to El having horns. Because as I pointed out in a recent rebuttal, and I've been reading about in this amazing book, God and Anatomy, the patriarchs are actually described in the Bible as worshipping El, and there've been statues found of El that have horns. So the reason apparently, and I haven't double checked this to be fair, but I thought it was a really interesting comment about the link between the altar having horns and El having horns. So
there's a link between ancient Hebrew religion and the tradition, the religions around that region. You know what I mean? And in ancient pagan civilizations, and I come from a long line of like pagan individuals. Like they're horned gods. And in Europe, I forget the name of the guy, but he has the antlers and stuff. And in West Africa, we got Legba. I mean, the etymology is similar, right? With an L. And he has horns, but in Haitian voodoo, they gave him a top hat. And in Louisiana voodoo, they gave him a top hat to cover the horns because, Christians were killing us in the United States for practicing our religion, And even when you go to Buddhist temples, like a Thai Buddhist temple, because on my channel, like I go into like random Buddhist temples and stuff like that. And I like communicate with people about like older religions. But some of their altars, they will have on the right side, and often the right side, it resembles masculinity. They'll have a bull, like they'll have a bull head. And on the left side, they'll have something more feminine. You know what I mean? It varies depending on the temple and the branch of Buddhism. But even in Buddhism, and it's particularly those branches of Buddhism that take from the indigenous religions of those whichever region in China or Vietnam or Laos that they're in, or Cambodia. So it's like, it's an old thing, like the ram or like the fucking golden calf. Horns have always been the symbol of like Father God.
Okay.
So it doesn't surprise me.
Indeed. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming back on the Viewer Invasion, and I hope I get to see you on another Viewer Invasion soon.
For sure. Look forward to it.
Take care, dude. Drive safe as well.
Yeah, I pulled over, okay?
Okay.
Don't tell anybody. And then initially I was driving, right?
Okay, thank you for taking time out of your journey.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. So that was Crossroads Circle. And yeah, brilliant. Really nice to catch up with Crossroads Circle. And we now have Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, hello.
Hi. Thanks so much for joining the Viewer Invasion. What did you think of the announcements?
I really find them really arrogant, exceptionally these times. If the 5 years, they are really becoming more and more arrogant. And with my mom still a GW, it's really touched me because she's a kind of woman really sick. She keeps being at the hospital, and they keep seeing her, and it really affects me.
So when you say your mother's in hospital, obviously I don't want you to divulge personal medical information, but has it been related to COVID or?
No, she have an autoimmune sickness, and it's attacking your sorry, I'm not natively English. It's attacking her organs, and she's always in the hospital. So we never know if any days she could be that at any moment. So it's really upsetting.
Has she been visited by the hospital liaison committee?
She with her organs, our autoimmune works. It's attacking every blood cells, everything in her body. So anything that she got as a sickness, it potentially attacks ourselves. So
Mm.
they always make sure that she don't takes blood in that way.
Wow. Well, you really do have my sympathies, because
Yeah,
it's bad enough for her to be in that situation, but to have it hanging over your head that maybe she might refuse blood or be denied blood or be coerced into denying herself blood, that can only make the whole situation more traumatic. So you do have my sympathies.
yeah. And as said previously, they are always nitpicking when it's on the Bible. Like it was said, when you think about it, firstly, it was for animals, only animals, or just eating things to not take blood, but they just extrapolated decided to apply this to don't accept blood transfusion.
Yeah. Well, look, Catherine, it's really kind of you to join. And may I just say, I like the flag behind you.
Thank you.
You have my full solidarity. And thank you so much for gracing my channel. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. That was Catherine. And we also have Yadub. Welcome, Yadub.
Oh, hi. Hey, can you hear me?
I can, yes. So how are things with you, and what do you think of the announcements?
Things are good. I, like most things with this, sorry, I wasn't expecting to be on the channel, but
That's okay.
just, I still struggle with stuff. So, and one of my good friends killed himself recently, about 2 months ago. Actually, you responded to one of my friends. They left a voicemail, I think. So yeah. I think you met my friend that killed himself, unfortunately, and still kind of struggling.
It's all coming together now. Because have we been in touch since then? I think
I haven't personally, no, but you and through my network of friends.
Yes. I have been in touch with someone about that. Yeah, that's really tragic. So someone who left a voicemail and who I met in person,
yes,
in Texas, has since committed suicide.
And so I got a tattoo with his name on it, and I still struggle with it, So I don't mean to take away from your announcement and stuff like that, but I watch you religiously. We'll use that term, but it's just I just kind of wanted to say hi and just personally tell you, like, to keep on what you're doing, because it changed my life. It saved my life in that sense, and it just brings you back to thinking about my friends sometimes. So
thank you. I do intend to do a follow-up voicemail, because I've been left a voicemail about your friend, and my idea was to create like a little memorial in that voicemail to I think we can say our mutual friend, because I had the privilege of meeting him in person. So that's I intend to remember him on the channel.
That's very, very nice to hear. That really is.
Yeah.
But as far as your announcement, I mean, again, on my case, like, pretty much 95% of my family's all in, and so I hear about them going back to service, going back to witnessing and stuff like that. So I've been so disconnected, but I'm still connected. It's so weird,
Yeah. Even though we're not doing door-to-door preaching,
mentally, there should be a term for that. I know there's PMO and FOMO, but you're mentally disconnected, but still
you're still in the radius of impact, so that it impacts on you in some way.
And I think that's the worst thing about it, is that, like, even though I've been removed, I left when I was 20, so 15, 16 years ago, but my family is still so in. And that's the hard part. I think, I don't know about anybody else. I'm pretty sure it's the same, but, like, that's what we have to deal with in the aftermath, is that how we can, still be ourselves to a certain extent, but yet still deal with PMO or PME family members,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I'm sure it's going to impact on me in some way. Because when you have family who are in, it always, any kind of little tweak like this always has reverberations on you in some way, shape, or form. That's what I found. So,
and I think the worst thing, my biggest fear is for the next announcement to come out where they will literally just say to cut off those members that are, because I'm not disfellowshipped, I'm not disassociated. I just left. I just faded away. That's my biggest fear is when that announcement comes out, because I'm sure they're going to try and weed us out and filter us out in that sense. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that'll come?
I think it varies congregation to congregation. I think that one thing I have noticed is that they seem more and more anxious to hold on to what they've got. I think that if you are identified as spreading apostate ideas, they'll want rid of you as quickly as possible. But if they don't perceive you as a threat, it's a little bit like, I don't know whether you watch Star Trek, but we keep calling them the Borg, don't we? It's a little bit like when you're on the Borg ship. The idea is that you just move between them, and only if you do anything that they would interpret as hostile, they will turn on you. And it's it's a bit like that with Jehovah's Witnesses. If you start shooting at them or you do anything that they find threatening, they're going to turn on you. Yeah.
And that makes sense. But my question is this: I know not to bring up that, and my family knows that topic of religion. They know where I stand. I know where they stand. But my question is: do you think that the Borg will soon dispense this propaganda towards saying, hey, if your child is no longer serving Jehovah, cut them off regardless, even if they're not disassociated or disfellowship? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they'll say that.
No?
I don't think it's in their interests to say that, because they need, how can I put it? They need a pool of people who've already been indoctrinated, where the groundwork has already been laid and they've just gone astray and they just need to be brought back in. So it's much easier to just bring back in someone who was previously indoctrinated and has strayed. It's much easier to do that than indoctrinate someone from scratch. So I think they will always want to hold a candle for people returning. It's only in two situations where they're going to want rid. Number one, because someone is actively spreading apostate ideas. And number two, I think it was at the 2016 Remain Loyal convention, one of the talks said, if your family member is inactive and you know that they are doing something unscriptural, you should shun them. But even then, that's not necessarily saying that you'll get chased down by the elders. It's just saying that your family should shun you if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing as a JW. So
well, I mean, regardless, just keep on what you're doing. I look forward to that memorial. That will be very appreciative from all of us. It was a very, very sad last few months, but and for others, I mean, I'm no one to speak on this, but for anyone listening or watching, there is something outside of this. Speaking from a friend that had a friend that thought there wasn't a solution, there is. And keep watching the show, keep watching the channel, keep doing your research, but there is hope basically outside of this craziness. And that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate those words, and I intend to remember our mutual friend soon on the channel.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye. So, it's going on a little bit longer than I anticipated, but frankly, I'm just enjoying it. So let's have another viewer invasion from Sharon. Hello, Sharon.
Hello.
You okay?
Hi, Lloyd. You well?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Can't complain.
That's great. It's been one of the hottest days ever in England again.
I believe so. I believe it's national crisis time.
Indeed, we're under a drought situation, and the temperature today's been 33 degrees.
Yeah.
So, like,
they're also turning people into Daleks, I understand. But go on.
Am I talking like a Dalek?
Again, I'm afraid, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something on my computer.
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Anyway, when you said, like, we were going to have a viewer invasion, I was in the bath, and so I threw stuff on and got made up really, really quickly. And I hope the gravity's all right in here today.
The gravity's working this time. Well, thank you for hurrying on and hastening. So what do you think about the announcements?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think it's blooming despicable that they've got this secret organisation of elders who are primed, literally primed, to be able to get at people, have every opportunity, plus to be able to pick on people who don't even know the rules. It's a joke, honestly.
Are we talking about the HLC?
We're talking about everything,
Yeah.
The Elder Secret Manual.
Oh, right, yeah.
And particularly the HLC, I've got very views on that I could talk about forever, and I'm not going to even try. But
okay.
Just to say that, what are we playing at? Come and join our religion and be picked up.
Yeah. Come and join our religion and enjoy the fact that you won't be let in on all of the various rules and all of the various policy changes. Yeah.
That's fine, sort of like whack-a-mole, isn't it? Sort of,
yeah.
Am I doing wrong? Whack!
Indeed. Sharon,
anyway, I'm going to get out of it because I wasn't even ready to come on. So.
Thank you so much for hurrying out of the bath and making arrangements to join the viewer arrangement. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, you take care, don't do anything I want, but if you do, don't get caught.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. See ya. Oh, there she goes. Okay. So yeah, Sharon's a veteran of viewer invasions. Lovely to see Sharon back. And we will take one more from Joanna Alabaster. Hello, Joanna.
Hello. Sorry for my English. I'm from Poland. JWs are encouraged to wear masks when preaching.
Yeah.
If JWs would go door to door wearing masks in Poland, everyone would ask them why they had masks, and it would not be possible to talk about religion, only about masks. JWs don't want to look eccentric, and wearing masks is now considered eccentric in Poland, as if someone were wearing subculture clothes. I wonder what they will do with it.
That's a really interesting point. Here in Croatia, there are no longer any requirements for masks unless you are in a doctor's office or a hospital or some kind of medical facility. But you do, when you're out and about in the street, you do still see the odd person, usually an older person, wearing a mask. I do think you raise a very interesting point about, because Jehovah's Witnesses are very conscious about how they come across to other people, and especially how their appearance contributes or takes away from the urgency of their message. So they're kind of being put in this very difficult situation of presenting themselves on people's property with their face partially covered when everyone else around them doesn't have their face partially covered. And basic human psychology is that we will be more trusting and more able to, communicate if someone isn't concealing their appearance. So I think you raise right at the death You raise a really, really interesting point there. Yeah.
I also wonder what is really the point of going preaching door to door when other kind of preaching next to card near hospitals is more effective. I had a surgery and JW's stand with cards near the hospital, and patients and relatives are in trouble. They have hard time in their lives, and it's a perfect circumstances for JWs to reach to people, and why they still preach door to door. I don't see a point.
I think that's a brilliant question, by the way. I think the reason for them to go back to door preaching is purely because they're not going to have a cart for every single Jehovah's Witness. And they want, for me, the preaching work isn't really about bringing in new converts, because the best way to turn someone into a Jehovah's Witness is to indoctrinate them from birth. I think it's going to be minuscule, the percentage of baptisms per year that come from the preaching work. There's always going to be some, but it's going to be a minuscule percentage compared to how many are born in. But it is in the organization's interests to keep Jehovah's Witnesses on the hamster wheel and keep them busy. And to that end, they're going to want as many forms of preaching to be available to Jehovah's Witnesses as possible. So I think that's why they're anxious to bring back the door-to-door preaching, because they just want to keep people busy.
But it will be more effective if they were busy, and also more effective by preaching in other circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be purely cart witnessing, wouldn't it? And them not bothering people at on their doorsteps. But again, I think it's more about just making sure that they're occupied, because they're not going to have a cart for each and every one in the congregation, are they? Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks for conversation. Good to.
No, I really appreciate you calling in. Are you able to tell us a little bit? I know it's a bit off topic, but what's the mood in Poland at the moment? How are things in terms of Jehovah's Witnesses? Because obviously it's a country that's seen some rather sharp declines in recent years.
We have many apostates, many channels, many new channels. I see the increase of apostasy. JWs are not so not so devoted. They not religious at all. It's more like a cultural thing to be Jehovah's Witness in Poland right now. I think that is the case.
Yeah. I was really impressed and inspired by my visit to Poland back in, when was it now, 2019, just before the pandemic. Yeah, the Polish don't suffer fools, and they don't like to be lied to, and that's really reflected in the local XJW scene. So
I was interested in religion for 2 years, and I realized that it's a scam, but it took me 2 years to make a decision to not be baptized.
well, better 2 years than 2 decades or more. So well done on that, and thank you so much for calling in to the Viewer Invasion. I hope you'll join us for another Viewer Invasion in the future.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye. And that's it for not just the Viewer Invasion, but today's show. I really appreciate all of the comments that have been flooding in. How do I turn this banner off? It's irritating me now. So yes, thank you so much to everyone that's tuned in. We have currently 311 watching across YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. It's lovely to get that kind of interest in the content, and it's very, very heartening to see so much support for this channel, for the work myself, Tibor and Diana are doing. And I really, really appreciate those super chats because they really do help. So I hope you found this information useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Evans channel for similar videos. Let's keep on top of developments in the Jehovah's Witness religion as fairly and objectively as we can. I hope you all have a wonderful remainder of the weekend. Take care, everyone.